No, I know that I can make you stay, but where's your heart? But where's your heart? But where's your... No, there's nothing I can say to change that part, to change that part, to change.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Matt Knicks Show podcast. I am your host. I am Marvelous Matt Knicks. I'm a professional wrestler from Chicago, Illinois. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode 3. I almost forgot. How do I forget? There's only 3 episodes. I don't know. Been dropped in my head too many times. Anyway, this week's guest, somebody who I hold near and dear to my heart. His name is Ian Scherer. He is one half of 616Entertainment. If you don't know what that is, look it up. We talk about it on the podcast. You're going to know. You're going to find out real soon. But Ian's one of my close friends, probably one of my only friends outside of wrestling, which is kind of sad, but not that I'm friends with him, but the fact that I don't have that many friends outside of wrestling. Let's change that. I want to have more friends, more people to talk to outside of wrestling. I can have them on the podcast. But so we sit down and talk with Ian. We talk about, obviously, 616. We talk about podcasting. We talk about wrestling. Go figure. But Ian's been one of the biggest proponents of me starting this podcast from almost the first day I met him, like almost 5 years ago. He's been telling me that I should take up podcasting and give it a shot. So this is, X amount of years later, here we are, episode 3. We got him on. I'll have to get Mike Charles, the artist, on at some point too for his own episode, but we'll see. So here's our interview with Ian Scherer. Enjoy.
Oh, son of a bitch!
We just put up episode 204 of our show, and we're doing 205 tomorrow.
205 live. You should do it live.
Live,
you should do it live.
We're doing it live!
Well, you're live, pal.
I never realized that Lenny Lane just kind of looks like gay Lex Luger. But anyway, everybody, when we have them on the first time, will always just be like, well, I don't know if I can do it. Like, what are we going to talk about? And it's like, I don't know, dude. We're just going to bullshit. That's how it goes.
Just talk, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a couple questions, but other than that, we're fine. But it's funny because when we sat down to do this, I was like, what are we going to talk about?
And what was my response?
You were like, I don't know.
And that's good because that's kind of how, at least the way I like it. It's more entertaining that way because it's a lot less. Well, it's like wrestling. It's not like wrestling. It's a lot less predetermined.
Yeah, I think too much floor plan for anything can make it just too regimented. I stumbled 3 times in that sentence.
Regimented. But I did. Well, I would have done my introduction already on who you are.
You pre-record them.
Pre-record that shit.
Nice.
I just feel like it's easier that way, and then I get to add my little son of a bitch.
Oh, son of a bitch.
That's hey Kaz Hayashi.
That's what I did for your episode of the wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
I just did an interview intro beforehand. I was just like, fuck it, I'll just put it in. We've done that so many times. I've known you, for 4 years now?
Yeah.
It would have been like, if I'm sitting there going like, well, I met him here, and we've known each other. It's like, shut the fuck, who cares?
But, yeah, I mean, like, as I would have explained in my intro, you and Mike, and then in addition, Jeremy, have kind of been, like, pushing me to do this show, this podcast, for quite some time now.
Yeah, dude, it's been about time.
Yeah, and it's it just took a little. It really just took me to be like, all right, I'm just gonna do it because like I had the equipment, I had the idea of what I wanted to do. It just came down to just doing it, and then once I did it, like the first episode, I was like, oh, that wasn't hard at all.
Yeah.
And I was like Jeremy coached me through like getting it up on like online and getting it on iTunes and stuff like that. And
That's the most difficult part is just figuring out where you need to put it to get it in all the places because it can be kind of intimidating if you're like me and you have no idea how to use like computers.
Yeah, no, I mean like I could see it like I had no idea how to do any of that, and I literally had Jeremy be like, here he's like standing over my shoulder, like, do this, fill this out, boom, and it was done in like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh shit, that's not that hard then.
See, you did it the right way. The artist and I had 77 episodes up before we were on iTunes. We were on YouTube.
On YouTube, I remember that.
Exclusively. And who the fuck wants to listen to a podcast on YouTube?
It's hard.
You know what I just realized? On your first episode on iTunes, it says clean lyrics. Should I not be dropping F-bombs?
No, well, which one was that? Was that me and Castro? Or
the Castro one, yeah.
Well, no, we swear on that a little bit. No. It was funny because the first episode, and Jeremy had mentioned this. He goes, he's like, should I not swear? He's like, and I was like, no, you can. He goes, oh, because you and Castro were trying to keep it like clean in the first one, and I was like, that was kind of just like unintentional.
Yeah.
Really, because like I already hate like listening back to it. I was like, oh, I hate the way I'm talking on this thing.
Why?
Because I'm like
Patches. He's in the crevice.
I'm just like, I was just like, very like talking very properly, and I'm just like, and you can see this, on YouTube.com/this or like, just I don't know the way I was talking. I was like, that's not how I talk ever.
You gotta find your host voice, dog.
It'll come to me.
No, I think you've got it now. I'm saying in that first one, you listened back to it, you didn't like it. You were looking for your host voice.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about 616 Entertainment then, because that's kind of like I feel like that'll be like the broad introduction of this.
What is 616?
What is 616 Entertainment?
The broad explanation, the broad pitch of it is, I mean, when I was a kid, I always wanted to like make movies and shit like that. I didn't even really care about acting or anything, but I wanted to make movies with my friends. And when we were kids, maybe like 12 years old, me and my buddies Bobby Morrissey and Tony Cortese and Bathroom Money Tim Ewers, we would use Bobby's mom's like huge VHS camera, and we would just make our own version of Halloween like over and over. But none of us could afford an actual Michael Myers mask, so whatever mask we had was just what we would use. And we didn't even like try to do costumes. Like, oh, there's Michael Myers. Meanwhile, it's a Scream mask, like a red T-shirt and blue jeans. So you just had to use your imagination. And there was no editing back then. Like, it was just a VHS camera, so when you hit record and when you hit stop, that was the scene.
Yeah.
So to get the Halloween theme, we used to have Bobby's brother Johnny under a blanket in the corner of the room with a boombox. And the CD only had one track, and it was the Halloween theme. So someone would be off camera, they would point to like this 6-year-old Johnny in the corner, he'd go like, click, and then the music would come on. Oh, man.
That's so funny.
Those were the first ones. Like, we would do Halloween over and over. And then we did, like, Freddy vs. Jason 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was dog shit.
Do these videos still exist
They're
somewhere?
somewhere. I think they probably are at Bobby Morrissey's house, and I've spoken to him one time in the past, like, 10 years at least.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have, like, a falling out. I just, like, moved away, and you kind of, like, grow apart and stuff because we went to different high schools.
That's funny. I wonder, like... It's funny, like, I wonder how many, like, kids growing up did the same similar stuff, because I know when I was young, my cousin had made, like, when he was in high school, he made, like, this video for his Spanish class, and it was, like, I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd be like, this is dog shit, but, like, at the time, I was like, this is amazing, like, it was funny. They had all this like interesting editing and stuff like that, and like so, me and my friends had the same kind of camera, the big fucking VHS cameras, and we would make our own movies too, and it wouldn't even be like there was like no plot. It was literally just to do shit. Like, yeah. And the one editing trick that we stole from like what my cousin's videos was like it'd be like a scene, like if I was like filming you right here and like you were talking or whatever, like let's say somebody was sitting next to you and you would like snap your fingers and like we would pause or like stop the camera, you would get up and walk away. This person sitting next to you would not move, and then play, and then it would look like you and disappeared.
Some I Dream of Jeannie shit.
Yeah, and we literally would just do that for like no reason. Like in scenes, it would just be like guys getting chased up the jungle gym at the park, and he was just like look around and go, and then he was gone. Be like, where did he go? Like stupid shit like that.
It's an endless chase,
dude. It was crazy, and we did that turned into like. Kind of spoofing like horror movie stuff. We made a movie. We actually got my sister involved in that one too, and it started as like a serious horror movie and just kind of devolved into like scary movie where like the like it was me in like the Scream costume. So I was wearing like the big like dress thing.
Yeah, you guys cared. You had costumes.
And it was just Halloween costumes that we found, and like. And it would turn into me just like running down the stairs, and then I would just like trip and like roll down the stairs, and like it was just very dumb. But I wonder how many other kids out there like came up doing that kind of stuff, and then actually like followed through. Like at least like with you kind of like evolved your editing styles and stuff like into what you put out on the channel, and then with me like going into wrestling and stuff like that. It's all very entertainment. Esque. So
I realized I was supposed to say like what 616 Entertainment is, and I was like, well, this is how it started. I didn't tell you what the fuck it is. So what it is, 616 Entertainment is my YouTube channel, which at this point is 10 years old. I've been doing it for 10 years now, and I do podcasts, like I do just videos. And videos in the sense of we do like conversational shows. Like we did a conversation with Corey, which was from 2013 to 2014. My old buddy Corey was just out of his fucking mind. Like everything he said was hilarious, and I was like, let's just do a show where I ask him about stuff and let's just see what he says. And I totally bit the idea from Kind of Funny's show, A Conversation with Colin. So that was like our first weekly like conversational show. Shit changed there in 2013. Because before that, from 2007 to 2013, it was all just every once in a while there'd be like a short movie. Or like, oh, here's a little skit. And then it was in 2013 I started following like the Kind of Funny guys like Greg Miller, Colin Moriarty. They had this conversational style, and I was like, fuck, man, let's just do that. Like, that looks cool. And the artist's like doing that way better.
Yeah.
He got overacting. Because I would like write shit and be like, hey, we're going to have you like only in your underwear, like covered in blood, and you got to like scream, and we're outside. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, he used to do it at first, then eventually he got over it real quick. But yeah, the artist is like my partner in crime. He's been doing the videos since like 2008. So I started it in 2007, and he's been there right about since the beginning. So
you're pretty much like partners in crime on a lot of this stuff. Yeah,
pretty much. He like I basically do all the work. Like, I shoot it, I edit it, I upload it, all that stuff. He's like the all-star on-air talent.
Okay.
So, like, I mean, when we did a show in 2014 or 15 or whatever called Shitty Movie Reviews.
Oh,
and we just watched bad movies, and it would be him like reviewing it while taking a shit. And it was like a minute and a half long, and it was just so childish. But I wouldn't want to do that.
No, I don't think I would either.
I would just pitch the idea and he would do it. I mean, we only did 2 of them before he decided, like, dude, I'm 26. I don't want to do this anymore.
Someone's going to see this.
Because it literally would come down to him being like, I'm the artist, and I give Green Lantern 2 fart pops and 1 shit ball. And eventually he was like, I'm a grown man. Like, I don't want to do this with my life. But that's half the fun, is, like, pitching an idea and seeing if he'll do it.
See what he does. Yeah, I laugh like at some of the the ways he gets like worked up on and you're just like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Like
that's how when people started calling him Charlie Kelly.
Yeah.
Because if I get him really worked up, I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. And you always got me out here doing this.
He's very much Charlie Kelly-esque.
We used to do like the short movies, and then we switched over to the conversational style. And we did that for like 5 years. For like 5 solid years, I was doing somewhere between 1 and 3 weekly shows every week for 5 years, and now I'm kind of like burnt out. So.
Well, yeah, I can imagine like the amount of like effort it takes, and especially like creatively, like you can only do so much with some of that stuff, and you being like a very creative person, so like I could see like you wanting to take a break on certain things and like channel your talents more into, you know, like you put out the history of SmackDown videos this year, and those are fantastic. Last year, the end of 2017, and those were a fantastic series. If
I appreciate that,
I'll link that shit in the description on this, but it's on their YouTube channel. You go check it out. You basically talked about the history of the SmackDown video games, like the WWE video games. And because those were the ones that you were more versed in, those were the ones that you played.
Yeah, those
right?
were the ones I like grew up with. Like the whole idea of History of SmackDown was I take the first 5 SmackDown games from 2000 to 2003. Yeah, there was 5 of them inside of that span.
Jeez.
Because those are the ones I grew up with, and they were like the first good wrestling games on PlayStation. Because like before that, there was like WWF Warzone, WWF Attitude, ECW Hardcore Revolution, WCW Nitro and Thunder, and they're all not good.
No.
Like none of them aged well. You can try and play them now, but you're not going to have fun. But yeah, SmackDown came out. I was like, fuck, like, this is really good. It stood up next to like the Aki N64 games, like Revenge and World Tour and No Mercy. And for years, I've wanted to do a series where I cover SmackDown 1 through Here Comes the Pain, which is the first 5. And it was middle of last year where I just decided, I'm just going to fucking do it. Like, I've been wanting to do this so long. It was actually, last year, I don't know what made me want to do it, but I went back and I watched every episode of The Angry Video Game Nerd.
Dang, that's a lot.
Yeah, he's at like almost 150 now. James Rolfe, The Angry Video Game Nerd, he's like one of my biggest inspirations. And I think a lot of people might think like, oh, his comedy's immature and shit like that. But his fucking body of work over the past like 10 plus years is insane. He never stops. His shit always gets better. And he did a 4-part series on, it was a Castlevania retrospective. And that's my favorite shit he's ever done. And that was what made me be like, yeah, I can do the SmackDown thing. Because the way he feels about Castlevania, I feel about the SmackDown games. Let's just do it. And I put it out, and it's like by far the most watched thing I've ever made.
That's awesome. And then even like it's a 5-part video series, but then you put it out together in one like mini documentary.
Yeah, I put it out as like it's not even mini. It's over an hour when all of them went together.
That's fair.
I just called it like the full movie, and I was like, will people watch this again? And it is. I think it's the most viewed one at this point. So
really?
The full movie version, I think people like that better because then they can just kind of like binge it, you know?
That's really
instead
cool.
of like click on part 1 and then the sidebar there's only like part 3 and 5. It's like, where the fuck are 2 and 4?
Yeah.
That happens sometimes and it's annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, History of SmackDown, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of all the shit I've ever made. Because the way it came out is exactly how I saw it in my head, which like never happens. There's always like compromise on ideas because shit just doesn't work, or I'm not good enough to like figure out how to edit a certain way. But History of SmackDown came out exactly how I wanted it to. That's
awesome, and I watched them when they all came out, and I think I told you in person or through text messages to say, you can feel your like passion and love for it like through the videos, and it like it got me like choked up at certain points because I was like, man, like I remember that shit too. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome to be like passionate about shit that you love.
That's like one of my favorite things in life is just people being passionate about shit. I'm a guy who, if someone puts up like a 14-minute video on YouTube, which is pretty fucking long when you think about people's attention spans nowadays. Someone could do a 14-minute video on YouTube about, like, their collection of shot glasses from everywhere they've been. I'll watch it. I don't give a fuck about shot glasses. But if this person does, and they're like, I got this one in Kentucky when a guy threw his boot at me, like, I want to hear these stories.
It's interesting to see, like, the stories behind certain things.
Yeah. And that's kind of what has made me slow down on the channel a little bit. It's less that I'm burnt out and more that I'm tired of making shit that I feel like other people can make. You know, I think I wore out the welcome of the conversational shit to the point where I was kind of just making them to get stuff on the channel. So now it's like, there's not going to be as much on the channel, but the stuff that goes up I want to be proud of. I want it to feel like 616 shit. I don't want it to feel like you can find it on fucking any website.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm shooting for.
I could feel that. So with that, where, like, in addition to you putting out more quality content over the quantity of it, what are some things or ideas that you're kind of cooking with now, or things that you want to do in the future? If you want to share that kind of stuff.
No, I do. Like, we announced Hot Hammer Smash.
Oh, yeah.
A couple months ago.
Oh, I can't wait, dude.
It's so funny to call that quality. But,
that's going to be quality.
and I can't take credit for it because it's the first time the artist ever pitched an idea in 10 years. And I love it. Like, the artist, we were doing a podcast. I don't remember what episode it was, but we had our buddy Fozzie Fees, Dan Fiorio on, and the artist was like, I've been thinking about starting, like, a side YouTube channel, and I just want to, I want to just smash shit with a hammer. I was like, why do you want to do that on the side? Let's do it on this channel. And he was like, well, I just don't know if it fits in with what we do. And I go, what do we do?
Yeah, there's no, like, guidelines.
We're the bosses. There's no rules. So we cooked up the idea. I wanted to call it Hot Hammer Smash. Fozzie Fees pitched Hot Hammer TV, and I put it to an internet poll, and Hot Hammer Smash won. I was going to do Hot Hammer Smash regardless.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, he just wants to smash stuff with a hammer.
Dude, I fell down a rabbit hole of watching it's a YouTube channel. They have a hydraulic press.
I love the hydraulic press.
Smashes shit.
But see, that's one of the problems is every hydraulic smash video, there's always 1 minute of, here's what we're going to smash before we smash it. And they want to get that watch time, that audience retention, because the fucking sponsors and the shit that they have on there, like, they can make more money that way. Ours is going to be, you click play and it's just
immediately
it's already going to be smashing. Because let's be honest, we're not going to make any fucking money anyway. So.
Well, maybe. You never know.
Yeah, I doubt it, but yeah, Hot Hammer Smash is coming soon. I wanted to be balls deep in it already, but being that we live in outside of Chicago, Illinois, it's been below zero.
Siberia.
There's like 2 feet of snow outside right now, and the artist is like, well, let's just smash shit in your house. And I'm like, okay, do you want to clean it up?
Yeah.
One of the ideas is to smash a bottle of ketchup. Like,
God, that's...
Because the whole thing is like, there should be no rules to what we're going to smash. So we'll smash a PS2, we'll smash like a pair of speakers, and then 1 week he's going to smash a bottle of ketchup. To the point where it's just loose ketchup on the ground, and he's hitting it with a hammer. This is my idea of quality.
This is Mike getting out his, like, pent-up frustration.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things I've ever seen was an episode of your video blog, and it's Craig Mitchell talking about the artist. You guys are, I think it was for WrestleMania.
Oh, that was Castro's vlog.
Yeah, Castro's vlog, okay. And Craig Mitchell is talking about the artist, and he's like, I love when he gets worked up, and he goes up to a 10, but he never really comes down. He just, like, stews in it, and then he stops and thinks, and he's like, he could definitely be a serial killer. And we watched that back, no joke, like maybe 7 to 10 days ago, and it was me, Tara, and the artist, and we were all watching it, and the artist goes, you know, this changed the way I carry myself in public. Because hearing him talk about this, like, it made me take stock of how I act around people.
That's funny.
It reminded me of the American Psycho scene where he's like, the mask is beginning to slip. I think the artist is a weird fucking guy.
I love like some of the shit he talks about. Like when you guys are on the podcast, I'm just like, that's definitely like an artist thing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of hard to like just pinpoint it, but like I don't know. Like he's one of a kind.
The most recent thing that he's brought up on the podcast is, it was last week's episode. It was episode 204. He was saying that when he was a kid, he was in the room while his mom was watching a Lifetime movie, and he said that he remembers a scene of like a stop-motion baby doll walking around the house like all herky-jerky, creepy style, and there was a song playing that was like, she saw things that she didn't want to see. And I was like, there's no way this is real. You made this up in your head.
No.
You think this is real.
It might be.
You're out of your fucking mind.
Who knows? This
What
Lifetime
movie
movies
would that be?
I don't watch Lifetime movies, but like have you seen some of the titles of these movies?
Lifetime movies are about like cheating husbands and credit card fraud.
They're
not about like animatronic dolls. He's just made that shit up, but he thinks it's real.
I want it to be real so bad, just so he's not completely insane.
I told him to put it on Reddit and either ask Reddit or like tip of the tongue and see if anyone remembers it, but they're not going to because it's not real.
God.
He's fucking insane. One of my favorite things on our show is like, he'll tell me he has a story, and he'll just talk about something else for like 10 minutes.
Not even get into the story?
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, hold on, I'm getting there.
That's like my dad, dude. My dad, like, we were sitting at the table today, and he was telling a story, and then, like, he was like, yeah, and then this, but because of that, like, da-da-da, like, and I'm like, what does that have to do with this story at all? Like, yeah, you're right. Let me get back to it. Yeah. We had a crazy, it was so funny. We said, I went to help my grandparents shovel.
Yeah.
And then we shoveled my parents' driveway, and then we sat down. My mom made breakfast. Breakfast. I
was thinking the same
shit. She made breakfast. And we're sitting there, and then, like, for some reason, like, my brother, like, brings up, like, religion or something. Like, something about, like, going to hell. Mm-hmm. And he said he was quoting a comedian who was, like, saying, like, because, you know, the whole story is, like, you're born with sin. If you believe in, you know, Christianity or Catholicism. You're born with sin, like, that's, like, when you're first born, then you have to get baptized or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I guess the comedian, I don't know who he was talking about, but he was like, yeah, he's like, that's why we got our baby aborted. We saved him. we saved him. So he's like, so if you want to, like, save your babies from sin, like, and I was like, well, that's not really funny, but, like, I get where you're coming from. And then, like, so the conversation went from talking about religion, and, my mom is pretty religious. Mm-hmm. My dad's kind of just, like,
Church on Christmas.
Not even that. But he very much, like, he'll talk about, like, being against religion and then, like, start talking like he knows what he's talking about. I'm like, I was like, just stop. Like, what you were saying right now does not make any sense. And it went from, like, talking about religion into talking about how, because my mom asked me, like, do you believe in hell or heaven? And I was like, well, I'll never say that I don't believe. Mm. I was like, but I don't know. Yeah. And, like, she was like, what do you mean? Like, and I was trying to explain it to her. I was like, well, I can't say that I know because I don't.
Never saw it.
Yeah. And she was like, well, what do you believe in? And then I was like, well, I believe that, like, aliens came. And, like, and I started going off on that whole tangent. And it went from that into talking about, like, astrophysics and how, like, there's multiple realities and stuff, and my mom's just sitting there like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You on multiverse, like, to me,
bro? Well, yeah, like, and I was explaining it to her, like, as best as I could. Yeah. And she just, like, I don't know if she just didn't buy it, like, she was like, you're full of shit, or, like, just didn't understand it. And my brother brought it up, I made it, probably the best analogy I've ever heard. Yeah. Was, like, the universe is, like, expanding, but it's, like, it's not going this way, like up and down. It's more like spreading out. Like if you're pouring out water onto a table, it's spreading out. Or if you want to think of it this way, it's like a page in a book, and that page in the book is our reality, our universe. But every other page above it and below it are different universes. And like in if you're tearing like because we were talking about that new fucking Cloverfield movie and how they like tear.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, well I won't spoil anything, but it has to do with like kind of like the colliding. What the hell is that thing called? Like a collider.
Yeah.
To
I know what you're talking about.
Cold fusion or something like that.
Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah, they have one of those up in space, and but doing that has the repercussions of like tearing a hole in time and space.
Yeah, that's where they take two atoms and they shoot them across the entire world, and then they collide on the other side, and they think that maybe they can rip a tear into the space-time continuum, which doesn't sound safe.
Not at all.
It sounds like some Bioshock Infinite shit.
And like just like the idea of that. I mean, like black holes. Like a lot of people like theorize that like a black hole is just like a gateway, like a wormhole into another dimension or something like that. But my brother was like, "Oh, it's like ripping pages into other pages," and I was like, "That's actually a good analogy for that." I don't know, but that's just like it's funny. Like I don't know how this conversation came up right now. I am my father's son, but.
Perfect callback to that.
But yeah, like it was just funny that like that was the conversation that we were having at breakfast. At breakfast.
I've always I was raised Catholic, so I had my communion and shit. And I got confirmed and whatnot.
Same.
And I remember I always had to go to CCD, and that would piss me off because I would have to miss WCW Monday Nitro, and I did not want to miss Nitro.
Oh man. See, mine was on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Mine was on fucking Monday. And
that
I remember,
sucks.
before confirmation, Bobby Morrissey and I were, fucking around in the CCD class, and the one woman came over. I remember her name was Mrs. Kane, and she was a bitch. And she came over, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And we were like, "Nothing." What? And she was like, "Do you even want to get confirmed?" And I was like, "No."
Not really.
I'm here because my parents make me come. None of this means anything to me. And after, I decided when I was 12 or 13, I was like, I don't buy any of this bullshit. And it's here's where I differ from my brother. My brother thinks that religion he doesn't just think it's bullshit, he thinks it's it's harmful, and if you believe in that stuff, you're a fucking idiot and stuff like that. I'm not like that at all. Yeah. I think there's a lot of positive that can come from people following their religion, because I think with Christianity and shit like that, or Catholicism, because those are just the two that I know because I was raised around those more than anything else. I feel like a lot of times it's just a tool for people to be good people.
Yeah.
You know? They feel like, oh, I have to be a good person. I have to be good to my neighbors so that when I'm dead, I get let into the good place.
Yeah.
You know? I have to be the best that I can so that God will be proud of me and shit like that. I don't see anything wrong with that.
No,
it's literally, you're trying to be the best person you can. If you have to do that under the guise of a god, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's
if it means
good.
you're not being an asshole.
There's definitely evidence of this throughout history.
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with my mom multiple times where I say honestly, I was I think religion was created by the government, in ancient times, just to have control over people and be listen, you have to do this, this, and this. You gotta pay these taxes, or God will be angry and you'll get smited, and it worked. I mean, yeah. It's a controlling of the population, and like you said. Of giving them right or teaching them right from wrong, but I always said I don't need to go to church to know how to be a good person. I know that with my own morals, or by the morals that were given to me by my parents, to telling me whether that's from their learning of religion or not, it's still you don't need religion to be a good person.
Yeah, I think that's definitely how I feel about it. It's I know how to be a good person. It has nothing to do with any religion or me doing it for a god or any reason like that. I'm a good person, or I try to be a good person, because that's how I want everybody to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't hang out with people that I don't like. Because if there's somebody I don't like, I don't want to fucking hang out with them, you know? I've had to do the thing where, like, you, like, break up with friends, you know?
Really?
Because they've become just either shitty people, or it's just, it's always got to be a thing when you go out. They cause a problem, or they just get into trouble all the time. It's like, dude, this isn't what I want to do. Like, what the fuck, man? I don't need, like, a god or anything for that. In religion, it can be harmful and shit, because there's people who take stuff so literally that they look at the old stories and they're just like, yeah, kill all the gays.
Yeah, or they misconstrue the actual meaning.
Yeah,
they're just like, no, he meant this, and it's like, oh shit, like.
And it's like, this has been, like, passed down and translated from so many different languages. Who knows what this meant originally?
Yeah. Like what I said this morning, I was like, I feel like religion is just a really, really old game of telephone.
Yeah.
and these are the stories, like, because my brother's very like, I don't believe this bullshit. It's stupid. Kind of like how your brother is.
Yeah.
He's like, it's stupid. And I'm just like, he's like, oh, because he's like, how arrogant do you have to be, like the Pope? He's like, how arrogant do you have to be like, yeah, I know these stories, and like I know the truth. You have to listen to me.
God trusted me to tell you this.
Yeah, like he's like, how arrogant do you have to be? And I'm like, it's not like, you know, he's like, it's the same with history. And I was like, well, history is the same way. He's like, well, because he said it's like you're sheep, you're following this guy. And I was like, well, that's the same thing with history. What you learn in school. I was like, in Germany, they learn World War II completely different the way we learn World War II. I was like, it just happens to be the way you're taught. So I was like, there's you know, and who's to know what's the actual truth?
Yeah.
You know, we learn shit about, like, you know, the 1800s and shit, and all we have to go off of is like paper and stuff. Like nobody was alive back then, so we're just kind of like, yeah, I guess this was truth.
It's funny for me because I remember back in school, a lot of those classes where they would be teaching us shit from like hundreds of years ago. I respect people who love history and they want to know, like, oh, with this ancient civilization. Sometimes I fall down that rabbit hole and I want to learn, but most of the time I'm like, that's some old shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are we doing tomorrow?
Yeah,
I don't really give a fuck.
Especially if it's like it's like some ancient like race or whatever, that civilization that,
and they've
like
been gone for centuries.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, what did they do? Like, obviously they weren't that great. If
they
still
sucked.
Around.
They're gone.
God, that's a fucking...
Dude, Brian Knobs is a fucking tampon. He looks like a microwave hot dog. We have WCW Fall Brawl 1999 on in the background on mute.
Yeah, it's been
If
a hell
anyone's
of
wondering how Brian Knobs just came up.
Or Billy Kidman, if you came up in the beginning of this podcast. Oh, God. That was...
How the fuck did we get on religion now?
I don't know. That just kind of... I was talking about breakfast.
Breakfast! See, that's the making of a good podcast, though. You want to talk about... If we were talking about 616 Entertainment, other ideas I want to do.
Yeah. What else you got brewing there?
The 616 Entertainment Wrestling Podcast is a new one I just started.
Whoa!
Yeah, dude.
Wrestling podcast.
Whoa! Can you believe it?
I mean, let's pretend that I wasn't on episode 2. What kind of stuff can we expect from this?
I mean, if you want to listen to the show, you can do it on youtube.com/616entertainment or SoundCloud or iTunes. It's everywhere you want to listen to your podcast services.
Hey.
Well, listen to your podcast from a service of your choice. You know what I'm saying? Bad pitch. But episode 1, I just talked about, like, my history with wrestling when I started watching in, like, 96 or whatever year it was, all the way up until now, current day 2018, as a 27-year-old man, how I look back on all this shit. Episode 2, we had you on. We talked about what 2017 was for you. We talked a little bit about like the current day shit and how it's changed over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Going forward, I'm just going to have, like, I want to have more of my friends on who are wrestling fans, and I want to have more of my friends on who are wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, I got to get Castro on. I want to have Craig Mitchell on, because we had him on the 616 Entertainment podcast a couple of years ago, and I love that episode. And for whatever reason, we just never did it again.
Was that the one that was at my house? Or
no, that was episode 69, Fuck Belt.
Oh yeah.
But the one that Craig was on solo, I don't remember what number it was, but it was good. But yeah, dude, I want to get Castro, I want to get Craig, I want to get Stevie Fierce, I want to get...
Good luck.
I know, I'm trying. I want to get all sorts of people to do it. Because I feel like I know a lot of people in wrestling. I want to get Maxwell.
Yeah.
And I grew up with a bunch of people who love wrestling, so...
That's good that you have... There's a lot of people at your disposal that, you could have... Like, it's not like you're, like, scraping, the bottom of the barrel trying to get people on this show. And it's not like you're doing this weekly either. It's going to be, like, once a month or...
I'm doing once a month right now. Eventually, I might decide to throw out 2 in a month. Who knows?
There's no
guidelines.
guidelines.
I am married to no schedule right now.
That's good,
which
too.
is kind of nice.
Because we have the 616 main podcast that you do weekly. Yeah. Weekly, folks. If you're listening, if you listen to this, you're listening to a podcast, because no one's listening to my show.
That's not true.
Maybe. Who knows? But if you are listening to this, you probably listen to other podcasts.
Yeah.
Go subscribe to the 616 Entertainment podcast. It's awesome. It's like this, but better.
I don't think we have to rank them.
That should be your tagline.
Well, see, but you've been on my show like probably over 15 times now, And if you break down how long that is, it's probably almost a full day of podcasting that we've done. Because every time you come on, we do like 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
And if at that rate, it would have been over a day. We've probably gone close to 3 hours a couple times.
Yeah, I think the first time. Well, that was Castro's fault, but we won't get into that.
We've talked about ghosts. We've talked about conspiracies. We've talked about wrestling. We've talked about all sorts of shit. It's fun to do. And I was talking to the artist about it yesterday. It's insane that we're going on year 5 of doing it, and we've never missed a week. Which is insane, crazy. But...
And you know what I like about it, too, is, like, you have all this, like, content of just, like, shit, like, and a lot of the stuff you talk about is just, like, shit that happened in your week. You're just like, oh, we did this, and it's awesome, because then you can go back and listen to it, and you can be like, man, this is what I did then, and I love the episode that you recorded the night when Ronda Rousey lost.
Oh, yeah.
And you have that, like, your reactions.
We were podcasting as it was happening.
That's awesome. I love that.
It was me, artist, Handy Dandy Andy Jarek, and Jordan Jurassico, a.k.a. Punk. And we were watching Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm, and we were just podcasting while it was happening, and then Ronda got head kicked, and we were like, oh, shit! And, like, that moment is captured forever.
That's so cool.
Which is kind of awesome. That's kind of like, that's the whole reason I wanted to do it. Other than thinking, like, I've got funny and interesting friends, and I think we can do a podcast that's better than a lot of podcasts out there. The other thing was just, like, I would love to be 45 someday and put on a show from when I was 24. And being like, man, listen to what my voice sounds like. Oh, shit, I don't remember doing that. Oh, there's Paul. I haven't talked to Paul in forever. What's he doing? Like, I in a way, I think I kind of really enjoy nostalgia.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lot of people do.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's kind of funny because we're working on getting one of my coworkers, Daniel, back on the show. Who's like he's such a fucking weird, zany guy. We had him on episode 56, which was like 3.5 years ago. And Daniel... long story short, I went back and I listened to his episode, and it was so fucking funny that I texted the artist, and I was like, dude, on your way home from work, put on episode 56 with Daniel. And then the artist came over to record that night's episode, and he's like, I was so much funnier back then. He goes, I've been phoning it in for like a year. I was like, yeah, you need to be that guy again. It was so funny, just going back and hearing those. It's so much fun.
That's funny.
And there's definitely shit on there that I go back and listen to it, and I completely forgot happened.
Oh, yeah. Dude, same. Like, I was listening, because I've told you multiple times that, I wait, like, every Wednesday for the podcast I drop, because I listen to it when I'm at work, And it's awesome because I don't get to see you guys very often, and I joke and I say like, oh, it's like I get to hang out with you guys every week because I'm like listening to you guys talk all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just go back and listen to like older episodes, just because like, and I laugh and like some like I listen to the older ones that I was on or Castro or something, and I laugh at some of the stories we're talking about. I was like, damn, I forgot that even happened.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's so much fun to go back and hear them. Yeah, it's so crazy to think that we've been doing it for about 5 years now. And me, Artist, and the beautiful Tara Darcy were talking about the podcast in the car last night when we went to Burrito Jalisco, you know what I'm saying? Got to get some good Mexican food. So we're driving home, and we started talking about the podcast, and Tara was like, you know, it would be cool if you guys did 616 episodes before you ended it. And I was like, it's funny you say that because that's kind of like my goal. Like I wanted, if we could do 616 and then that's the last one. And the artist was sitting there and he goes, wait a minute, okay. So we have to do this show for 15 years?
God.
And I was like, see, yeah, that's why it's a dream/goal. Who knows if it'll happen?
Yeah.
I don't see an end for it. Like the podcast is the one thing that I never really get tired of doing.
Because it's for you at this point, it's easy.
It is easy, and it's literally an excuse for me to talk to one of my friends for like 2 hours a week. Like, how often do you get to sit down with one of your friends and talk to them for like 2 hours? It never happens.
I wouldn't
You're
know.
always so fucking busy. People gotta work. You got fucking girlfriend, boyfriend, shit, whatever. But if doing the podcast is like setting aside time to make that connection, you know. And that's why I liked last week's episode so much, because Tyler, he's one of the guys I work with. He just started a couple months ago. And I was like, you know, I think Tyler's a cool, like, talented, interested guy. Let's get him on. I've never spoken to Tyler for 2.5 hours before we did that show. It was fucking cool.
That's pretty cool, because then you really get to know somebody, too, in that,
big time.
in that way. That's awesome. That's interesting, because I thought he was somebody you knew for years.
No, I've known him for like 4 months, I think.
That's awesome.
And I was like, dude, you got to come on.
That's got to be, I mean, aside from like when me and Castro came on, like I feel like that was like pretty much the day we met, almost, like, or at least like the second time we'd ever met.
I think that was the day we met at the Resistance Pro show, right?
I think, because like Steve was supposed to be on your podcast, and they were just like, can we come too? And you were like, yeah, let's all do it.
Yeah, I was like, why not? Why wouldn't we?
And I had no idea. I thought like it was like some sort of like scheduled like appearance thing that I was like, oh, I don't want to like impose on it. And you were like, hell no, come on. So we all came down, and that was awesome. I
remember the first time we had CB Fierce on, we went like over 3 hours, I think. And when we wrapped, he was like, man, this was fun to do. Like, I thought this was going to be a wrestling show, and I don't want to talk about wrestling. He's like, I didn't know we were actually just going to like talk and shit.
That'll be fun. I want to like, I'm gonna try to convince him to do my show. Yeah. I think the only way I can get him to do it is if we're like, I'm gonna like spring it on him when we're in the car,
or
like,
just bait him with conspiracy talk.
Dude, that's what I'm gonna tell him. Like, I was like, we won't talk about wrestling at all, which I'm fine with. Especially like, I kind of want this show to not be like specifically wrestling. You know, like I want it to be more, you know, broader. And I was like, I've explained it in my intros multiple times now, that I want it to be, you know, broader like that. But like, you know, a lot of the people, most of the people in my life are either involved in wrestling or have some sort of tie into wrestling.
Yeah.
Or are a wrestling fan. Like, I don't think there's very many people that I'm like friends with that don't at least like wrestling.
Yeah.
So wrestling's probably going to come up more than once.
Which is fine.
Yeah, because chances are, if you're listening to this show, you like wrestling. So
that was one of the things that I decided early on about doing it was, I don't remember. There's been plenty of people who I've invited on. They're like, "Well, what are we going to talk about?" And it's just like whatever comes up. I've got like a couple topics and a couple questions ready, but there is no overarching subject. And people are like, "Well, I don't know if they'll be interested in me," and I'm like, "Then they don't have to listen."
Yeah,
like, let's talk about let's do whatever we want. If people don't want to listen, they don't have to. There's plenty of fucking shows out there. They can do whatever they want. I'm not trying to cater this shit to anybody other than me.
Absolutely.
I want to make stuff that I want to make.
I wish there was a way, like, because I try to look on, like, I don't know how to read any of the analytics bullshit.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to, like, tell how many people, like, actually, like, listened. Yeah. I mean, there's, like, downloads.
No,
but,
you
like,
can tell. I'll show you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you put it on YouTube and stuff, you can go to the analytics and there's, like, watch time. So you can see the average length the person watched it before they clicked away. You can see audience retention, like the percentage of people who watched all the way through and what percentage they watched. There's all sorts of shit.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Some of the analytics are a little depressing on certain projects.
Yeah, I can.
Like History of SmackDown, super high like watch rate. But then something else.
The Let's Plays.
Oh, the Let's Plays, not so good. Did Patches? Did you fart? I smelled dog fart.
Oh man.
My boy name of Patches Lugosi just ripped one.
He's proud of it too. Look at him.
Dude, he's little, but he fucking stinks. He hasn't farted as much as he burps lately.
He's a burping boy.
He burps.
He's like the artist.
He'll be sitting here laughing and just be like,
That's from that bread he ate earlier.
Yeah, this fucker. Okay, I'll tell the listeners. I'm taking a shower earlier. Before I took a shower, I made a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? I wrap up the bread. I put the bread on the kitchen table. I come out of the shower. I check on Patches, who's a little 19-pound Shih Tzu, by the way. And he's curled up in his bed with the bag of bread next to him, a giant hole ripped in the side of the bag of bread, and half the loaf is gone. Where did it all go? You're little. There's no way you ate all that. Now you're going to be burping and farting bread at me all night, you fucker.
He's carving up. He's bulking.
Dude, he's going to have to shit so fast.
Maybe he won't mind the snow this time.
I got to take him out and stand in the snow, though.
Oof.
He's a good boy, though. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Well, before we wrap this guy up...
How long we been going?
About 50 minutes, 52
Damn.
minutes. That's the sweet spot. I'm trying to keep him around that.
Yeah.
Under an hour. The last two were under an hour.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to plug? Anything you want to just talk about?
Oh, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? As usual with all of them, just youtube.com/616Entertainment is where pretty much all of my shit goes. You can watch the History of SmackDown there. You can watch them in parts, or you can watch the full movie. I'm not even going to bother pitching the fights that we've been doing recently with artists and Jack James, because those go deep.
I got something I want to pitch after we talk with here.
But yeah, there's I did all kinds, there's almost 100 Let's Plays on there of all different kinds of games. A Conversation with Corey is a show we did in 2013 and 14, which is so fucking funny, it holds up. I think one of the best shows we've ever done was R&B, a dating show.
Oh, dude, that was amazing.
The number one handsome boy, Michael Thomas Robinson, and No Taxes, Nigel Bravo, legit get blackout wasted and just give dating and love advice.
It's
and
incredible.
Most of the advice is awful. It comes down to Robinson trying to give advice and Nigel being like, I'm Native American and you fucking whites took my grandparents' land and you built Joliet on it.
Dude, he's insane.
He is insane. We do the Monopoly World title matches once a year. You're a former champion. 2016 champion.
Possibly longest reigning.
Well, the artist is going to have it for a full year now, too, because we've gone to the once a year thing. The newest show that's debuted is Spillin' Tea with Vincent Terra, where my boy, name of Tokyo Boy, Vince Burnett, and the beautiful Tara Darcy sit down. It's a conversational show. Episode 1 was they talk about which cartoon characters they want to fuck.
Oh my! Is that up yet?
That's up.
Oh
and
man, I gotta watch that.
Episode 2, when's this episode go up?
This will go up this Friday.
Okay,
Same day
episode
as
2
Freelance.
will be up by the time you hear this, and it's about going through puberty.
Oh man,
that's a good one too. Just youtube.com/616entertainment, SoundCloud and iTunes, 616entertainment podcast. There's so much shit. You know what I'm saying?
There's so much stuff, and if you're like me and you enjoy just goofy comedy stuff, watch some of these videos, because they are, dude, the Sal Melendez videos are they're so good. You got to check it out. Like me trying to explain it will not do it any justice. You just got to see it for yourself.
Elevator pitch for Top 5 with Sal Melendez. It's Sal Melendez is a guy who's got his own Top 5 show. The network gives him a subject. He doesn't do it. He does his own subject, and it's the worst show you've ever seen in your life. That's the elevator pitch for Top 5. He's killed people on the show.
He's performed open heart surgery.
He's been gone. So when did it end? Did it end in
2016?
I think it ended at the end of 2015 because he killed his son.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers.
God.
Shot his son in the head.
Fuck. Yeah, you got to check this out.
Those are good. I like those. Yeah, those are my pitches, dog.
Good pitches.
Mean, people can also go to freelancewrestling.com, buy a t-shirt, buy a hoodie, buy a DVD. You know what I'm saying? All sorts of shit.
And now you could subscribe to Powerbomb.tv.
Whoa! Use
the promo code FREELANCE. You get free 20-day trial.
Whoa!
You get to watch all of our shows on demand. It's Netflix for indie wrestling. You can watch Freelance. You can watch Alpha One. You can watch CZW. You can watch all your favorite indie companies that are on there at least. And you can also watch our shows live streamed every month when we do them. So that's a cool thing.
I did commentary on a couple of those shows.
You did?
I haven't heard any of it.
I haven't either. I might have. I don't get a chance to watch them back too much.
A lot of it was just a lot of the shit I said was really inappropriate.
That fits right in then.
I think Space Monkey did a springboard dropkick one time, and I was just like, "That's some Jumanji shit." R.I.P. Robin Williams. I don't remember something like that.
That's perfect.
I love it. This was fun.
Hell yeah! Let's fade out now to some catchy music.
Ooh.
I'll put something on that you'll like.
I love you, Daniels.
Yes.
Charlie Bartlett, John Bender, class switcher, time bender, Chance Bennett, a peculiar name. Graduation night, teachers Ferris Bueller my name. You made a mixtape? Good job. I hope you get a good job. We was all outcast, only listen to Good Mob. I performed at Fun Fair. Fun fact, I'm never going back to school. Been there, done that. They see my little 10-day tape and my dumb raps. Don't call it impossible if you really want that. They send my ass to summer school. Don't call it a comeback. I just came to beat a bully's ass and get my lunch back. Channel E tequila, you know what that. I rap my songs in Spanglish. I rap my weed and blood raps. Wrapped up in this one line. I hope that shit get unwrapped. As if niggas was getting signed off the line off one rap. Yo, Vic, remember when they called us some freshman niggas rapping? Now I ain't gonna be a freshman and I'm rapping. I should've learned a lesson from all of this shit happening. I just look over to Justin for refreshments of the captain. And sipping when it's weak sauce. Shots if it's cracking. Sipping when we tear up. And chug it if we laughing. Fuck it if we fucked up. I never thought of Chatham until the day they said that I would have to chat with Adam. And I'm just in the studio hoping that it sounds right. Here's a brighter bowl for your limelight. And this is your night, homie, shine bright. This for everybody's fucking prom night. So right, and it's okay, and we're all good, but we're homies. Any problems, you could call us. It's all love, it's all love, and it's all right, and it's okay, and we're all good, but we're homies. Any problems, you could call us. It's all love, it's all love. Yo, this prime shit feel like the Grammys, yo. These pictures Granny took don't make me ask where Granny go. So pass the Sandio to Auntie Joe and snap a couple candidates to the family. Get some cameos. You can change your clocks, but you can't change hours. I'm waiting on the day spring can't bring flowers. Let me add some minutes with Dad for those campaign hours. And pour these thirsty hoes a couple champagne showers. And hop up in that limo. The hood going dummy. The hood fucking love me. The hood think we lovely. So go and pop some bubbly. This right here's the loyalty. This to a moment's glimpse of royalty. This from my mama Jan who spoiled me. Look what we've accomplished. Time flies. Watches look like magnets on a compass. Before we did flat, it said a prayer roll for the limo. Bumping 10-day with the angels. With Jesus shopping my demo. And wrote about it Chatham. The whole hood clapping. And damn, it would be crazy if any of this shit had happened. But it didn't. I miss prom. I miss call us. It's all love, it's all love, and it's alright, and it's okay, and we're all good when we're homies. Any problem, you could call us. It's all love, it's all love. Look at your business tux, all night airplane. Go and get your racist on, all white head thing. I'm on my paper now, put that on my head. I ain't even write this down. All right, everything. I know y'all like everything. She want a night, she could call her wedding. Giving Eskimo kisses with some Eskimo bitches. Nose diving, going all night sledding. Coked out, like don't change when you grow up. I hope you get some change when you blow up. Cause honestly, I've always loved the way that you could throw up. Rest up on my shoulder, float up flying lotus. You deserve a warm towel, you deserve a soda. You deserve a quiet room, you deserve a sofa. You deserve a Ferrari and a matching tiara, and a hand to wipe away all that running mascara. But I wanna thank you for this prom night. Thank you for this prom night. Thank you for this prom night.